In fact, she was skeptical at first. When he asked her to investigate the possibility that her missing daughter could be between Byron, Cloud, and their group, he strongly urged her to keep it a secret because her daughter could be in danger. I had no idea that the informant His Highness the Crown Prince had encountered was Isla. Alexia, who was escorting the Crown Prince's carriage on a majestic warhorse, clicked her tongue as she looked at Winfred, who was leaning out of the window looking out. It was because she felt regretful that if Winfred had not revealed the identity of the informant, action could have been taken much sooner. For Ophelia and Roderick, who had been waiting for news of their daughter for 10 years, the news could have come sooner. Why, Sir Dexon? Winfred asked, under Alexia's steady gaze, with a frightened expression. No, Your Highness. It's dangerous, so don't stick your head out the window. Alexia spoke in a soft voice, as if asking when she had looked at him so harshly. Winfred, with an impassive expression, answered, yes, and sat silently again in the carriage. In any case, it wasn't that Winfred hid it with bad intentions, but that she did it to keep Isla's secret. The Crown Prince's carriage, slowly traveling through the city, arrived at the residence of the Duke of Weishafen. He had visited her recently and had returned just a few weeks later. Alexia had accompanied him as an escort because she had something to tell Roderick, but Winfred didn't understand why she was so anxious that she got out of the carriage and ran to the building as soon as she left. Oh, that's true. After running so fast, Winfred, as if she had left something in the carriage, ran back to it. He quickly retrieved something from the carriage, cradled it carefully in his arms, and returned to the mansion. I will listen, Your Highness. No. I'll take it. Although the assistant was approaching him, he held him stubbornly in his arms, as if it were a very precious object. She wondered what he was so desperately hiding, but she didn't dare ask because Winfred kept her mouth shut. And a little later. Wow, your belly is pretty prominent now. Winfred exclaimed, marveling at Ophelia's bulging belly, dressed in comfortable maternity clothes. For Winfred, who had no siblings or cousins, it was a new and novel experience. Of course, when he was very little, he saw Ilana Bradley born, but he was too young to remember it. Since her hair started growing, no one around her had been pregnant or given birth, so this was her first time. There was a child inside. Winfred's eyes shone, having learned from books how humans are born, but seeing it in person for the first time was something she had never seen before. Wasn't it true that Isla's younger brother was in Ophelia's womb? Was it a girl or a boy that looked like Isla? As he looked at Ophelia's plump belly with an agitated face, he heard an unknown female voice behind him. Is His Highness the Crown Prince of the Empire? Winfred looked back toward the sound and saw a tall woman standing there, dressed in a simple white shirt and cotton pants. At first, Winfred was confused, not knowing who she was, but soon remembered that a guest of Temora was staying at the Duke's residence. Nice to meet you, Your Highness the Crown Prince. I'm Candace Epasher, from the Republic of Temora. Greetings. I understand that you are the president of the Magic Council of the Temora Republic. My name is Winfred Ulysses Vito Palace. He came to see Ophelia and Roderick for pleasure. Suddenly, it became a summit meeting between the Crown Prince of the Palace Empire and the President of the neighboring Temora Republic, so Winfred accepted the handshake that Candace offered with a serious face. Of course, since Emperor Hiram was still alive, Winfred couldn't be said to represent the Palace Empire, but in any case, the meeting between the Crown Prince of a great nation and the leader of a nation still weighed on her. But his tension dissipated in less than a minute. Candace looked really, very familiar. It wasn't something I saw often, but it was very similar to someone I saw every day. It was none other than his father, Hiram. This is worse than my father. There was not an ounce of the weight of a leader in charge of a country in the way he laughed with his arm on Ophelia's shoulder. It's not that he didn't like it. It was just unexpected. Seeing them banter so friendly with Ophelia, Winfred strangely felt like he was about to laugh too. "And what brings you here today?" Ophelia asked kindly. It wasn't a place he couldn't go just because he had no business to attend to, but since he had just been there and was in a hurry again, he thought there might be some business to attend to. Ah. That is. And her thoughts were right, and Winfred looked around as if she had something to say. It seemed like a story that needed to be passed on to those around him. Ophelia, realizing this, quickly dismissed the servants. Now, only the Duke and Duchess, Winfred, Alexia, and Candace remained in the room. But Winfred remained silent. Apparently, the presence of Alexia and Candace bothered him. Then Roderick opened his mouth with a serious voice. "If it's Isla's story, you can tell it to her. Everyone here knows of its existence." Winfred's eyes widened, as if she hadn't noticed. Soon, the surprised expression disappeared, replaced by worry. Isla had told her to keep it a secret, but she was worried that nothing would happen if so many people knew. "Don't worry. They are both trustworthy people." Ophelia spoke to Winfred, trying to calm him down. Candace was Ophelia's best friend, and Alexia was Roderick's confidant. "Ah, I see. In fact, I came because I wanted to give you something." Winfred handed him a paper-covered photo frame. It was something he held stubbornly to his chest, even when the assistant offered to take it away. "What is this?" Although he had already given her all the congratulatory gifts for her pregnancy, Roderick asked in a perplexed voice at the sudden gift. But Winfred didn't answer the question and just blushed. "You'll know when you open it." Why was he so embarrassed? Unable to understand, Roderick and Ophelia carefully unwrapped the paper wrapping the frame. "This is..." The couple stared at the photo frame Winfred held out to them as if in a trance. "Is it Isla?" Roderick's rough voice sounded somewhat muffled, as if water had soaked it. Winfred nodded, her gaze wandering, feeling a strange sense of discomfort. Under the dark night sky, white hair as bright as the moonlight. And eyes the color of the deep sea, seemingly cold but containing warmth inside. It was a painting of Isla in a billowing lace nightgown. "I heard that you have been locked in your room drawing secretly these days. So this is what you drew." While the couple looked at the painting with tears in their eyes, Alexia was alone, rubbing her chin as if she had finally answered his question, absorbed in her thoughts. He was wondering what he was doing when he told him that he was busy with the Crown Prince's education and work, but that he drew at night, which took up hours of sleep. It was really wonderful that he had prepared such a delicate surprise gift. Everyone's gazes, looking at Winfred, were incredibly warm. "You two haven't seen how Isla grew up, have you? I think you only remember what I was like when I was 2 years old. They might meet her in person someday, when she returns. Until then, he hoped to at least calm his longing with drawings." It was a drawing that he had been drawing little by little for several weeks, avoiding the gaze of others. Despite the cold winter, a warm air filled the room, as if spring had arrived. Roderick and Ophelia's eyes were filled with tears, as if they were about to burst out at any moment. "Oh, Your Highness, the Crown Prince. You are a good painter. You still have a long way to go to catch up with me." But the atmosphere was altered by Candace's playful words. In fact, Candace had done it on purpose to change the mood, as she thought Roderick and Ophelia were about to cry, but Winfred, who had no idea who it was, simply forced her lips together. He was quite proud of his drawing ability, but was offended by the comment that he still had a long way to go to catch up with me. "Does Director Apasher also draw? Let's see how he does. Look at this. How cool is it? Hey. Is this also a drawing? It looks like a child's scribble. Isn't it because His Highness is still young and doesn't know anything about art?" The exchange was so comical that even Roderick and Ophelia, who had been crying while looking at the painting, ended up bursting into laughter. Although Candace and Winfred got along quite well, they became fast friends. Without realizing it, they were sitting opposite each other in front of the easel, offering to draw each other. Seeing them bent over their easels, giving and receiving, was so charming that Ophelia and Roderick watched the scene with delight. They hadn't felt so comfortable in a long time. They were happy to find proof that Isla was alive, but their hearts were heavy because they didn't know where she was exactly. They were able to put aside, for a moment, the worries that overwhelmed them. It was when they were having such a good time. "Your Excellency, I have something very important to tell you." Alexia patted Roderick on the shoulder and whispered something in his ear.